Republican strategist Frank Luntz, a CBS News political analyst, has been talking with voters about the fiscal cliff, and he joins us now. Frank, good morning.
Good morning.
So what are the chances you see this becoming the compromise, the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid's New Deal on the table?
Well, I'm not sure if either side is watching very carefully and listening to what the American people think. We did a survey for the Republican Main Street Partnership, and we got two interesting questions. One that's very tough on Republicans. When we asked the American people who is the GOP fighting for and representing, the number one answer, the rich. The number two answer, big business. Well back is number three, hardworking taxpayers. By the Republicans fighting this tax increase on the most wealthy Americans, the public looks at that and says, once again, the GOP is standing up for the rich. What the Democrats don't understand is that the hostility towards how much Washington spends, that this whole discussion over the last 6 weeks has been about raising taxes on the wealthy rather than cutting wasteful Washington spending.
Let's say we do get a deal, Frank, though, and it is the Harry Reid deal that might be on the table where it's short-term spending cuts, and people don't have someone to blame because we don't, Cliff, but ultimately the markets don't like it, the world economy doesn't like it, investors in U.S. debt don't like it, and ultimately our currency becomes in jeopardy as the currency of the world. What happens then? Who do they blame?
Well, at this point, they're going to blame the Republicans because of the communication failures of the last 6 weeks. But I need to get at the core of this. You ask the American people to choose, or you even ask them that they can have both, tax increases and budget cuts. What they really want is to end the spending even more than raising the taxes. They will accept a tax increase on the wealthiest Americans. Over 70% now support that tax increase. But an even higher percent support significant spending cuts. And that's not part of the Democratic package. So what I'm saying is that both sides here have a problem with the American people, and it's why Congress has an 11% job approval rating. Gaddafi had a 15% job approval rating, and that was among the people who killed him.
Frank, you're a Republican strategist, but you've also done some polling for the Bloomberg Group, Mayors Against Illegal Guns. I want to ask you, how are Republicans doing right now on the gun control debate?
Well, the public doesn't look at it as a Republican or Democratic issue. In fact, over the last 3 or 4 days, I think more people, more families, based on what I've heard, have spent time talking about their fear of gun violence than they have over the fiscal cliff. It's a completely different situation when you have little children killed than anything we've had before, and the public is asking, if not insisting, that something be done so this doesn't happen again.
Does something get done, Frank?
At this point, look, I know these people in Washington. Some of them may be watching now. They don't talk to each other. They don't have dialogue. They don't have conversations. This system in D.C., and the American people voted for it. They voted for these incumbents. They voted for the presidents. They voted to reelect Republicans in the House. There is no compromise, and I think that's going to grow as a concern among the public as we move into 2013.
Frank, what do you make of the NRA's strategy here to say there should be someone in every school system in America holding a gun protecting the kids?
If that's not quite the language that they use, and if that was the language they use, they'd be even more opposed to it. The public wants guns out of the schools, not in the schools, and they're not asking for a security official or someone else. I don't think the NRA is listening. I don't think that they understand. Most Americans would protect the Second Amendment rights and yet agree with the idea that not every human being should own a gun. Not every gun should be available at any time, anywhere, for anyone. That gun shows you should not be able to buy something right there and then without any kind of check whatsoever. What they're looking for is a common sense approach that says that those who are law-abiding should continue to have the right to own a weapon, but that you don't believe that that right should be extended to everyone at every time for every type of weapon.
Frank Luntz, always good to see you, sir. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, and Merry Christmas to you all back in New York.
To you as well. Thank you. We are